Hey students of Mrs. Sorensen, I'm going to teach you how to use Google Sheets to make a spreadsheet for your sample business. It is a really user-friendly program and I think you'll find that it can do some super cool stuff. So your task is to get all of this pricing data and cost data into a spreadsheet. Very basic. In order to type into the spreadsheet, you simply click on a cell and start typing. So our first thing is sample business report. And then we want to calculate our expenditures first. And so you can just start to type that in. And you're going to list all of the items, the cost of each item, the unit, the number of units, and the total cost is something that we're going to calculate. And then after we've got all of this stuff entered, we'll calculate the total expenditure, and we'll do something similar with the revenues, so how much you actually earn. And then in the end, we'll use that to compute profit, just like you see on this spreadsheet that she provided to you. So instead of making you watch me type all this stuff in, I've got it all entered here. So now I can start to show you the cool stuff. So Google Sheets has this neat feature, and most spreadsheet generating programs, like if you use Excel, they also have this feature. In any given cell, you can type an equal sign and a math equation, and it works kind of like a calculator. So all I did is I typed equals, whatever I wanted to calculate, so 4 minus 17, and then I press the Enter key on my keypad, and it does the calculation for me. If I don't start with the equals, it won't do the calculation. So you always need to start by typing an equal sign. But because it's a spreadsheet, I can do even fancier things. I can type in a formula that takes in the cells as inputs. And so, for example, if I want to calculate the total cost of these coffee beans, I'm going to type equals, and then I'm going to click on the cell, so the cost is 8, and then to get the total cost, I've got to multiply that, so I type the star, so that's Shift 8, and then I click on the cell for units. Now I could simply type 8 times 5, but what this allows me to do is now that I've typed in the formula, that's telling me that to get my total cost, I'm going to multiply the cost of 1 unit times the number of units. I can grab the bottom of this, drag it down to the other cells, and it calculates total cost for each of the items without me having to type the formula again. So to double check that this is doing what you want it to, let's click on the one for rent. So for rent, it should be calculating 30 times 20, so it should be doing, let's see, B7 times D7. So if I click on this 60, and look up in the formula bar, it says it's doing B7 times D7. If I go down to advertising, it should be doing B8 times D8, so let's click down, and it is. So the spreadsheet is pretty smart. Now the next thing we want to do is with all of these total costs, we want to calculate our total expenditure, which is going to be the sum of all of these things. So again, I could type equals 40 plus 4.17 plus blah, 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 but that's boring and takes a lot of time and will lead to some errors. So I can use another formula feature here. I'm going to type equals, and the spreadsheet's smart enough that it actually already knows what I want it to calculate. I want it to calculate the sum of all this stuff. So this is E4 through E11. So I can literally just click on this, and it will calculate the sum for me. Now, if it didn't come up, I could still type equals sum, and then I can just highlight the things that I want it to add up. And so that's usually a safer bet than letting the computer decide for you what you want to sum up. So now we're going to do something similar with the revenues. So if the price of a latte is $2 and I sell 1,000 of them, then my total revenue from lattes should be 2 times 1,000. So I'm going to use that formula feature again. I'm going to do equals. I could type 2 times 1,000, but since I want to apply this to all of the rows below it, I'm going to start with my equals. I'm going to click the cell instead of typing the number 2. Do star, click the cell of the number of units, and enter. And so it did B18 times D18, which is exactly what I wanted. Now I drag this down to the other items, and we can double check. It should have done B19 times D19, and it did, and then B20 times D20, and it did. So to get my total revenues, I'm going to sum these up again. So I'll do equals sum, open parentheses, and highlight the ones that I want to add up, and then I press enter. So that's the first part. Now we've got our expenditures and our revenues. To calculate profit, that's going to be the total revenue minus the total cost. So to do my profit calculation, I'm going to take the total revenue, which was this item, and subtract the total cost, which was this item. So I start with equals, click on it, minus, click on it, enter. So things are going well so far. We're getting the same stuff as the spreadsheet over here. Now to calculate the marginal profit, I've got to divide by the total number of units sold, according to this definition that you see here. So to get my total number of units sold, I need to add up all of these. So I can put in an extra bar here, equals sum, and we will add up these three. So my total number of units sold is 1,150. So to get the marginal profit, I'm going to take my total profit. So I'll take my total profit and then divide that by the total number of units. And we get a marginal profit of about 79 cents. Now, there's another way to calculate this, but because of the distributive property, they should end up the same, but we can just double check that. So we will do the cost per unit sold and then divide that by the number of units. So we could do the total expenditure. So I'm going to do that, divided by the number of units. So this gives us cost per unit sold. And then we can also do the revenue per unit sold. Oops, let's be organized with our spreadsheet. We'll write it here. Revenue per unit sold. And that's going to be equals the total revenue divided by the number of units. So we get those calculations, and then the difference is going to be our marginal profit. So we do this minus this, we should get the same thing. Alrighty, so I hope that you have learned some cool stuff about spreadsheets. There's even cooler, more powerful stuff that this can do, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. And I hope you have fun and make some money with your projects. Enjoy!